One thing that I've always wished the WWE would bring back is the mixed tag challenge. I thought it was super fun when they started doing it, and I never really understood why they stopped. It was fun for fan engagement as the fans got to vote on a handful of the people that were in the tournament, as well as just give you something fun to watch, on the off nights. Originally, there were two seasons of the mixed match challenge, which both seasons are wildly different from each other. In season one, it was sort of a charity event, which SmackDown and Raw faced off in mixed tag teams to determine a winner. Each charity would be given $10,000 each, and the winning charity would get $100,000 each. This is one of the few things that was a WWE Network exclusive, and I really enjoyed it when it first came out. I thought it was a ton of fun. The teams were very interesting. A lot of these people didn't have anything to do with each other, but they were fun nonetheless. Some of them even had cool names, like Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss were Team Little Big. Ben Balor and Sasha Banks were Boss Club. The Miz and Asuka were Asuka, AWESKA. Mandy Rose and Goldust were Rose Gold. Bobby Roode and Charlotte Flair were the Robe Warriors, which they both wore elaborate robes. Made a lot of sense. Rusev and Lana, Ravishing Rusev Day. This is the only one that really had a tight connection outside of Glowing Since Day One-ish with Jimmy Uso and Naomi. The Ginger Snaps with Sami Zayn and Becky Lynch, rounding off our names with teams. And then we would also have Apollo Crews and Nia Jax. Now, Apollo Crews did replace Enzo Amore after Enzo Amore came down with the flu. Elias and Bailey. And Samoa Joe was originally Bailey's tag team partner, but was replaced by Elias. Elias and Bailey was another team that was supposed to be Samoa Joe and Bailey, but after Samoa Joe came down with an injury, Elias replaced him, who came second place in the fan vote, Samoa Joe being number one. Alicia Fox was supposed to be with Goldust, but was replaced by Mandy Rose. And Big E was Carmella's partner after winning the fan vote from the members of the New Day. And the only other team I haven't mentioned, because there wasn't any team name or any sort of problem with putting them together, was Shinsuke Nakamura and Natalya, which is very interesting. I think you could have figured out a name for them, but I don't know. I think both of them have been disrespected by the WWE, if you want my honest opinion. Putting them together, crazy team, but it would have been cool to see a name for them if they didn't have any last minute changes. But Daniel Bryan would announce that the first episode got 35 million total engagements. Incredible, incredible number there for just a WWE exclusive online show. Now, each team had a specific charity that they were working for. Team Little Big was with Connor's Cure. Boss Club was with the Special Olympics. Apollo Crews and Nia Jax were with the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Asuka was Rescue Dogs Rock. Rose Gold was Hire Heroes USA. Elias and Bailey were Americares. The Robe Warriors were Girl Up. Ravishing Rusev Day was Global Citizen. Glowing Since Day One-ish was Boys and Girls Club of America. Shinsuke Nakamura and Natalya was Make-A-Wish. The Ginger Snaps was UNICEF, and Big E and Carmella was Kaboom. The first season also differed from the second season on the way that the matches went down. It was bracket style, going over 6 weeks with 2 matches on an episode, where it pitted a Raw team and a Smackdown team against each other. And interestingly, that left us with a Raw versus Raw match, a Raw versus Smackdown match, and a Smackdown versus Smackdown match in the quarterfinals. The finals would end up being The Miz and Asuka and Bobby Roode and Charlotte Flair going for a 20-minute match, with The Miz and Asuka taking the win. Incredibly fun event and very fun to look back on. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or Peacock, but if you can find clips of it, it is very, very fun. Interesting concept. It's not a new concept for sure, but it is an interesting concept and quite a fun one at that. And something that the WWE doesn't do very often, and I think they should lean a little bit more into. Now, season 2 was exclusively on Facebook Watch. So that's another difference between season 1 and season 2. In the second season, teams competed in a round robin style tournament instead of a bracket style tournament through the 14 30-minute 2-match episodes in order to qualify for the playoffs. The finale would be at TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs on December 16th. The winning team in this one, though, with no charities, would end up coming in at number 30 for their respective Royal Rumble matches. So a lot is on the line with this tournament. Not saying that giving to charitable organizations doesn't add anything on the line, but this could further their career. So it is a big thing to try to win this tournament this year. Just like last year, there were some injuries and replacements. So let's go over the teams and look at who made it all the way to the finals. The Monster Eclipse, which would be Ember Moon and Braun Strowman, who was later replaced by Kurt Hawkins after Strowman suffered an elbow injury. Country Dominance, which was Mickie James and Bobby Lashley. B&B, which ended up being Bayley and Finn Balor, later replaced by Apollo Crews after Balor suffered an injury. Mahalisha, I believe is how you would pronounce that, Mahalisha. Alicia Fox and Jinder Mahal. Team Pause, which was Natalya and Kevin Owens, who was replaced by Bobby Roode after he suffered a knee injury. Asuka made their return with Asuka and The Miz. Day One Glow, Naomi and Jey Uso made their return. Ravishing Rusev Day, Lana and Rusev also made their return. New team Phenomenal Flair, Charlotte Flair and AJ Styles, who was later replaced by Jeff Hardy after AJ Styles suffered an injury. And the Fabulous Truth with Carmella and R-Truth, which launched one of the greatest team ups of R-Truth's career, in my opinion. That was not an in-ring team up. Him and Carmella had some incredible moments, especially when the 24/7 championship was introduced. The time they spent together was hilarious. Incredible pairing. Incredible. Now, this was a round robin tournament. So at the end of the round robin stage, we have on the Raw side at the top with Ember Moon and Braun Strowman with a 4-0 record. And on SmackDown, surprise, Charlotte Flair and AJ Styles with a 4-0 record. Now we would move into the playoffs after that with Kurt Hawkins and Ember Moon taking on Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Bobby Lashley and Mickie James taking on Finn Balor and Bayley. AJ Styles and Charlotte Flair taking on R-Truth and Carmella. The Miz and Asuka taking on Jimmy Uso and Naomi. Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox would win their matchup and face off against Apollo Crews and Bayley. And R-Truth and Carmella would win their matchup to face The Miz and Asuka. Now, in an interesting turn of events, R-Truth and Carmella did advance over The Miz and Asuka, and Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox advanced over Apollo Crews and Bayley. And for the finals, R-Truth and Carmella would win by submitting Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. So for the Royal Rumble that year, R-Truth and Carmella would come in at number 30. However, R-Truth did not participate in the men's Royal Rumble that year because he was attacked by Nia Jax, who took his number 30 spot. If you remember, she did get RKO'd by Randy Orton in the Royal Rumble. As a consolation prize for having his spot stolen, he was given a United States Championship match against Shinsuke Nakamura, which he won to become a 2-time United States champion. Overall, great event, very fun to look back on, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do one for the year of 2025. So I took the liberty to create the Mixed Match Tag Challenge for 2025. Now, I did expand it a lot. I was having a lot of fun doing this. It is 24 teams, more than double what WWE was doing for both of these events. But now we have a lot of teams that I think could compete and put on probably way better matches than either of these events combined. So I want to run down how I decided upon these teams. So how I put these teams together was, first off, by relations. So married couples obviously are going to go together. I didn't do any people that are dating. I only did people that are in a legally binding relationship, just because obviously you can get a divorce and they can break up, but it's much harder to do. And so if they're just dating, I didn't count that because who knows what could happen by the time even this video comes out. But second is teams that are already, put together, obviously factions, whatnot. Thirdly was regionally, obviously grew up in a similar area or in neighboring countries, same country, either way. And then fourth would be, I think they would just be cool together. Or it feels a classic wrestling trope of a tag team, like a big little or a high flyer and a big, or the wrestling tropes. So in total, we have 24 teams, right? We have 10 from Raw, 10 from Smackdown, and 4 from NXT. Now, I like to believe that NXT had a round robin tournament before, with the ability to enter the Royal Rumble at number 30 being the prize of this whole tournament. They had a round robin to determine the 4 teams that would participate in this. So to get started, let's go over Raw. Raw would be Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan, Otis and Maxine, Io Sky and Dragon Lee, Ivy Nile and Chad Gable, Karrion Kross and Scarlett, Bayley and AJ Styles, Stephanie Vaquer and Penta, Lyra Valkyria and Sheamus, and Finn Balor and Roxanne Perez. Moving into SmackDown, we have Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, Jimmy Uso and Naomi, Bianca Belair and Montez Ford, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, Drew McIntyre and Alba Fire, Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, Shinsuke Nakamura and Julia, Carmelo Hayes and Nia Jax, Bo Dallas and Nikki Cross, and Alexa Bliss and Eric Rowan. For the 4 NXT teams, we have Tony D'Angelo and Adriana Rizzo, Charlie Dempsey and Ren Sinclair, Shawn Spears and Izzy Dame, and Zarya and Oba Femi. And so I took the liberty of putting this all in a bracket, and that bracket will be available for you to fill out. You can either find it on my YouTube post, you can find it on my Twitter, you can even find it in our Discord. I will have it posted there as well. I'm looking forward to going over everybody's fantasy bookings in another video. So I do hope that if you are enjoying this, you do participate, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. In that video, I will also be fantasy booking this myself. This video, we're just going to go over what the matchups are. So to decide who goes where in the seeding, I just rolled a D20 dice. It seemed like the most fair and balanced way to decide who goes where, mostly because there isn't any champions advantage or anything like that to put anybody at the top, and we haven't had any sort of tournament to set this up. So for the Raw side of the bracket, now you'll see if you look at it, it's not all numbered the exact same. It's just how the bracket works. But I did go ahead and separate everybody by Raw and SmackDown with 2 NXT teams on each side. And they will take up the lowest spots on the bracket, obviously. So for the Raw side, we have Sheamus and Lyra Valkyria taking up the number 1 spot. Ivy Nile and Chad Gable will take up the 2 spot. Karrion Kross and Scarlett will take the 3 spot. And Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch will take the 4th spot. Now for the 17-16 matchup, we have AJ Styles and Bayley versus Jimmy Uso and Naomi. For the 9-24, we have Penta and Stephanie Vaquer versus Oba Femi and Zarya, which I think would be a killer match. Absolutely barn burner of a mixed tag match, if you ask me. Then we have Charlie Dempsey and Ren Sinclair versus Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan in the 22-12 spot. And for 13-20, we have Dragon Lee and Io Sky versus Balor and Perez. So the first 4 do get a first round bye, and then everybody else will move in, and we will have a final winner after that. Now on the SmackDown side, we have Alexa Bliss and Eric Rowan in that 2 hole, which would be their number 1 spot. Then we have Nia Jax and Carmelo Hayes. We would then go to Drew McIntyre and Alba Fire. And then for the 7 seed, which is their number 4 slot, we have Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. For the 19 versus 14, we have Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill facing off against Shinsuke Nakamura and Julia. It'd be an absolute banger right there. Then for 11 and 22, we have Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae versus Tony D'Angelo and Adriana Rizzo. Now for the 23 and 10 spot, we have Sean Spears and Izzy Dame and Bo Dallas and Nikki Cross. For the 15-18 spot, we have Montez Ford and Bianca Belair and Otis and Maxine Dupree to round out the tournament. Now, I think this is an incredibly fun tournament. I think I've put together some great teams that weren't already teams IRL or in the WWE. So I'm very excited about this, and I hope to see your brackets very soon. And like I said, next video, I will also be fantasy booking this myself. So I hope you have a good one, and I can't wait to see your brackets.